How do you quiet your self-talk and get more peace in your life? So in coaching, the way we look at our self-talk is we look at what's called our inner critic. Now we all have an inner critic, or you might call it your inner judge. And it's that voice, it's that message. And for some people it's a sense and it's a feeling that's always pointing out what could go wrong and always pointing out where there's something lacking, there's not enough. And we all have an inner critic. We all have an inner judge. Even if we look at it from a science point of view, we have what's called a negativity bias, which simply means we are predisposed to point out that the glass is half empty. And we've got to train ourselves to start to install positive self-talk. The basis of anxiety is negative self-talk. It's to play in our minds a scenario where something could go wrong. Now we can actually train ourselves to do the opposite. And it does take a little bit of work, but it's kind of like being in a mind gym. If you flex those muscles enough, eventually they will get strong enough, and then being able to have a positive mindset will become easy because you have practiced it. So I want to share with you a couple of really simple strategies you can implement straight away inside this video. And this all comes from what's called life coaching. So coaches all around the world, they learn these tools, they implement them in their own life, and then they teach them to their clients. So the first thing is this: don't argue with your self-talk. If you have a voice that comes up and says, you're not good enough, you can't do this, you always fail, you're going to make another mistake, or it simply might just be a voice that says, you're not going to be able to succeed. The biggest mistake is to argue with that and start to have a dialogue with your self-talk and say, yeah, but I really want it, or but I believe I can. A lot of the time, the voice that is your inner critic or your inner judge, if you give it attention, if you give it energy, it's actually going to get louder. So whatever you focus on is what you get. Whatever you give energy increases. Whatever you resist persists. And so the opposite of having a conversation is step number 2, simply use gratitude. Now this might seem a little bit counterintuitive, but there are 2 major states we can experience in life at any time. One is fear and the other is love. And love has with it gratitude, acceptance. Fear, judgment, attack. And so a lot of people try to fight fear with fear inside their mind. Their inner critic says, you're not going to be able to do this. And then they'll fight it with, yeah, but I believe that I can. And they'll start an argument. Instead, go with acceptance. And again, this might seem a little bit strange and counterintuitive, but it's really powerful. When you have an inner critic voice and it says, I'm no good enough, I want you to silently inside your mind say, thank you. Now you can say it out loud if you like, but it kind of depends on where you are. I guess if you're at a supermarket or something like that, you might start freaking people out because they think that you're talking to yourself. Personally, I like to do it inside my mind, and my inner judge might say, you're not going to be able to do that, or they're not going to like you. And I'll say, thank you. Now this is the third bit. Thanking your inner judge and thanking your inner critic does not mean agreeing with it. And this is very important. We can accept our thoughts. And when we accept our thoughts, we remove the energy that we would be giving them if we started to try and wrestle with them. The art of acceptance and gratitude is also the art of allowing the thoughts that we have. By not giving them too much energy, they actually kind of just go away. So for example, if I have a thought process and it says I'm not good enough, I'm like, oh, okay, that's a problem. How do I change that? I need to wrestle with that thought. Now I've given it so much energy that it is getting worse. Versus if I have a thought that says I'm not good enough, I'm going to say thank you. Not thank you as in I agree and I'm going to implement that into my life, but it's kind of like saying thank you, I know better. I like to imagine that my inner critic or my inner judge is like a really, really worried 3-year-old. Really concerned about what's happening in life, but really doesn't have that much perspective about how to move through life on their own. And so I'm the adult version of me and I know better. So I trust that that helps as well. So you've got your 3-year-old mind and it's really worried about absolutely everything that you're about to do. Everything that's outside of your comfort zone that's new kind of scares that part of your mind, or you could call it your ego. And you're going to say, thank you, I know better. Thank you so much. Thank you. And the more that you practice gratitude and acceptance, the less energy you're giving it, the more ease that you'll notice that your thoughts will come and go. Part of the practice here is to learn that our thoughts are not as important as we think they are. Don't rely on them like they're gospel, like they're truth. Allow some thoughts to just come and go. Filter them through and say, is that something that I want to action? Is that something that I want to believe? And then a really powerful question, what would be a more powerful thing that I could think right now? What would be a more kind and compassionate thing I could tell myself? And then see what thought comes from that. This is also about practicing compassion and self-love, because the foundation of love is acceptance. I trust that this has been valuable. If you've resonated with it and you'd love to find out more, go ahead and click the link below. You'll head over to another page where I'd love to invite you along to a live global event that we're running. It's all about coaching. It's all about tools like this, how we can apply them to our own lives and how we can apply them to the lives of others. Go ahead and click the link below, and I trust I will see you on the other side.